Hi everybody, hope you're well. This video was requested by Eliza Weatherall. So this is going to be explaining Blup and GP a little bit on how to get higher GP foals. It is going to require you to have a look at some of my other videos, probably at some point, some of the ones that would include the video that I did on pair breeding and back breeding. I'm going to be using back breeding in this video. So I have a mare here which I got off one of my teammates, which is our top GP. So our best GP horse in our team right now. And what we do whenever we use backbreeding, which you will see in that video if you have a look at it, is that we breed to the best GP parent. So if we have a quick look here, out of her two parents, you'll see that we've got one here at 1932.16 and the mare which is 1930.08, so you can tell that the stallion is the better GP there. So it would make most sense to use a mare as the next Blup, because then you can breed it back to the sire on this particular occasion. Now, if my horse had been a colt when it was born, I might need to bolt it to a mare so that I can breed it back to the stallion. So she's over 70 Blup. As I've said before, 100 Blup is better than 70 Blup, but I'm using 70 Blup. So I'm going to cover her now. So if we go into team covers, and I'm going to search for my Mustang. So you can see here's that stallion, so we'll cover. And cover there. So the reason I use 70 is because 70 usually gives me the same amount in terms of genetic potential increase as 100. Now this is due to a randomization factor. If I wanted to have the best possible skills, inborn skills in the foal, then I'd want to make sure I'm using 100 Blup every time. I would not want to use 70 Blup. But because I'm only looking GP, I'm more interested in using 70 because it saves time. But there sometimes is a loss of genetic potential in the foals, okay? It's not perfect. So we'll age her now. I'm also going to train her up a little bit, and the reason I like to train them up a little bit is purely because it helps with ranking. I'm not going to worry about that, but I'm just going to explain why. She's already bolted in her top 3 genetic skills, which is stamina, speed, and gallop, as you can see. Dressage, trot, and jumping on this particular horse have no effect on the Blup value, so training these will not actually increase her Blup value at all. So we'll just continue with this, and then we'll foal her shortly after. So now she's getting to the point where I soon can't train her anymore, so she's almost ready to foal, because you can tell whenever it starts to grey out these little things, you can't click them anymore. So she's ready to foal, and she's given us a colt, which is quite nice actually, because if this colt is suitable enough, now I might want to breed a couple more foals. Usually I advise breeding a couple more foals if you have the ability to. So we can have a look at this colt's GP, and you can see that it's increased. So if we have a look at the mare just quickly, so you can see that she's 1933.48. And using the back breeding, we've managed to get 1935.03. Now I'm just going to mention something quickly. If you are breeding very, 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 very high genetic potential horses, so very close to the top genetic potential horses on the game, and what I mean by that is if you go to the best horses on the game, and you click genetics purebred, whatever horse is up here, okay, which you can see is 2,158, those horses will have the lowest genetic gains every time they have a foal. So you're going to see very small gains between the different Blups. So let's have a look. So here's one of their Blups. I click offspring. Actually, I should probably have looked at the GP quickly there. So 2,157.52. So then let's look at the offspring. So here's one of the offspring here. And you can see that 2,157.85. So you can see there's a very, very small increase. You can actually see that it's actually after the decimal point. You're actually only getting a gain that's after the decimal point. Whereas with R1 we saw increase above the decimal point. So we were seeing an increase actually here. So the higher your horses are in genetic potential, and the closer they are to the top horses in the game, the lower the gain is. Whereas if you had 350 GP horses and you started breeding them together and the top horse in the game was 4,000 GP, you would see very, very large GP gains. I mean, if we were to look at Persians, for example, we would see quite large GP gains. I'm trying to think. It might be the easiest one to show you at the minute. Let's see. I mean, if you're wondering why when a breed comes out, like a new breed comes out, and suddenly, you know, they're 350 GP, suddenly they're 800 GP, 1000 GP, the reason for this is because the lower they are in genetic potential compared to the top horses, the higher the gain. So they might get 10 GP gain or 15 GP gain or 20 GP gain every time they breed a foal. So we had a gain of about 3 GP. Well, I think it was 3 GP, or maybe I need to check this. Hold on. 35. Yeah, we had about 2 GP gain there between this mare and this foal. So now what I want to do is I want to blup this colt, and then what I want to do is breed it back to the mare. So covering this mare with her foal, okay, and then getting another foal that will be higher GP than he is. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to get him pretty much ready, and then I'll come back and continue that process. Okay, so we're back. I've just finished the colt, just got him over 70 Blup, and just to mention again, just in case you're forgetting, 70 and 100 don't give the same results, okay? They don't. There's a misconception that they do. They don't. Not always, okay? There's certain parts of it that does, and there's certain parts that don't. So we're not going to worry. I'm using 70 to be lazy. So he's ready now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up some covers for the team. So I'm just going to put one for now, and I'll go back to my mare here, and she needs to be aged up for covering again. So just refresh. And we'll just do a few cares with her while we get her up to that. The main thing really with achieving better genetic potential horses is not to mess about and breed loads and loads and loads of foals in terms of, you know, having several different mares with several different stallions, breeding several different foals. You want to streamline and focus on one specific line of horses, one specific bloodline, and continue that bloodline, make it better, perfect it in whatever way that you want to perfect it, and that's what you want to do. So it's not about, you know, spending a long time on doing other bits and pieces. You just want to focus it. So she's almost ready to cover. So we'll now cover her. So we'll go to team covers, and you can see that the colt's here. So, and just to show you, just to compare it with the other one. So you can see that there's an increase in genetic potential there. Obviously there was an increase from the father of this mare and then the mare to the colt. So we'll click, choose that, and cover. So she's ready now, and we'll just do a couple more competitions with her and just continue to train her up as I age her to foal. So this is really what it's about, is making sure that you're doing things that are going to help improve your horses and focusing on that. I mean, some people have this misconception, as I've said, that 70 is as good as 100, and that's not correct, okay? I'm not going to go into it in this video, but just keep that in your mind. Now, I'd always do 100 Blup for skillers. You never, ever do anything less for skillers, because otherwise it's a complete waste of time, in my opinion, because you're not going to get the results you want, or possibly you're going to get results that wouldn't have been as good. So let's foal her now, and we've got a filly foal. So this is quite nice because we're getting the right gender. What I mean with this is, whenever I said that we're getting the right gender of foals, whenever we started with the mare, her sire, so her father, was the best genetic parent because we're using backbreeding. So then we covered her with that, and we got that colt. And then we bred that colt back to her because she was the highest genetic potential parent that this colt had. So if we have a look here, Jackson compared to my one, and my one's a better genetic potential out of those two. So that's why we bred him back to her. And then we get this foal, which, as you can see, we've got an increase in genetic potential again. So we're on 1936.35, sorry, 34. And we will breed her back to this colt to then get another foal that will be better genetic potential yet again. So that's how you do the backbreeding process. That's how you increase the genetic potential using backbreeding. Now, if you want to see the difference between that and pair breeding, go watch my video on backbreeding and pair breeding. I prefer backbreeding because I think it's easier to coordinate. But, you know, each has its advantages and flaws. So I hope that was helpful. If anybody has any any further questions, just to sort of leave those and I'll have a look and see, because I'm going to build on this slowly, so the more questions you guys ask, then the more things I will be able to cover with this and add to and hopefully explain. So thank you to Eliza Weatherall for requesting the video, and hope you saw the video. Bye guys!